The Cessna 310 is an American six-seat, low-wing, twin-engined monoplane that was produced by Cessna between 1954 and 1980. It was the first twin-engined aircraft that Cessna put into production after World War II. Development: the 310 first flew on January 3, 1953, with deliveries starting in late 1954. The sleek modern lines of the new twin were backed up by innovative features such as engine exhaust thrust augmenter tubes and the storage of all fuel and tip tanks in early models. In 1964, the engine exhaust was changed to flow under the wing instead of the augmenter tubes, which were considered to be noisy. Typical of Cessna model naming conventions, a letter was added after the model number to identify changes to the original design over the years. The first significant upgrade to the 310 series was the 310C in 1959, which introduced more powerful 260 horsepower Continental IO-470D engines. In 1960, the 310D featured swept-back vertical tail surfaces. An extra cabin window was added with the 310F. The 320 Skyknight was developed from the 310F, which featured turbocharged TSIO-470B engines and a fourth cabin side window. The Skyknight was in production between 1961 and 1969, when it was replaced by the similar turbo 310. The 310G was certified in 1961 and introduced the canted wingtip fuel tanks found on the majority of the Cessna twin-engine product line, marketed as stabilo tip tanks by Cessna because they were meant to aid stability in flight. A single side window replaced the rear two windows on the 310K, with optional three-blade propellers being introduced as well. Subsequent developments included the 310Q and turbocharged T310Q with a redesigned rear cabin featuring a skylight window, and the final 310 and T310R, identifiable by a lengthened nose containing a baggage compartment. Production ended in 1980. Over the years there were several modifications to the 310 to improve performance. Noted aircraft engineer Jack Riley produced two variants, the Riley Rocket 310 and the Riley Turbostream 310. Riley replaced the standard Continental 310 horsepower engines with Lycoming TIO 540 350 horsepower engines. These turbocharged intercooled engines were installed with three-blade Hartzell propellers in a counter-rotating configuration to further increase performance and single-engine safety. At 5,400 pounds gross weight, the aircraft had a weight-to-power ratio of 7.71 pounds per horsepower. This resulted in a cruising speed of 260 knots at 18,000 feet and a 3,000 fpm rate of climb. Operational history Commercial applications The Cessna 310 was a common charter aircraft for the many air taxi firms that sprang up in the general aviation boom that followed World War II. The advantages of the Cessna 310 over its contemporaries, such as the Piper PA-23, were its speed, operating costs and aftermarket modifications such as the Robertson STOL kits, which made it popular worldwide for its bush flying characteristics. It could use short runways while at the same time carrying a large useful load of 2,000 pounds or more, at high speeds for a twin-engine piston aircraft. Military applications In 1957, the United States Air Force selected the Cessna 310 for service as a light utility aircraft for transport and administrative support. The USAF purchased 160 unmodified 310A aircraft with the designation L-27A and unofficially nicknamed Blue Canoe, later changed to U-3A in 1962. An additional 36 upgraded 310 designated L-27B were delivered in 1960 Euro 61. These aircraft were essentially military 310FS and as such equipped with the more powerful 260 horsepower engines and can be identified by their extra cabin windows, longer nose and swept vertical fin. A USAF study after 1 year of operational service found the U-3A had direct operating costs of less than $12 an hour. Some USAF aircraft were later transferred to the U.S. Army and U.S. Navy, and the type continued in U.S. military service into the mid-1970s. Variants: 310, production aircraft powered by two 240 horsepower Continental O-470B engines, 547 built. 310A, military version of the 310 for the United States Air Force, designated L-27A and later U-3A, 160 built. 310B, 310 with new instrument panel, 0470M engines and minor changes, 225 built. 310C, 310B with 260 horsepower IO470D engines, increased takeoff weight and minor changes, 259 built. Unit cost $59,950 in 1959. 310D, 310C with swept vertical tail and minor detail changes, 268 built. 310E, military version of the 310F, designated the L-27B and later U-3B, 36 built. 310F, 310D with extra cabin window each side, pointed nose, new tip tank shape and other minor changes, 156 built. 310G, 310F with slimeline tip tanks, 6-seat cabin, and increased takeoff weight and detail changes, 156 built. 310H, 310 grams with increased takeoff weight and enlarged cabin interior, 148 built. 310I, 310H with IO470U engines, baggage compartments in rear of engine nacelles and minor detail changes, 200 built. 310J, 310I with minor detail changes, 200 built. 310K, 310J with long vista view side windows, increased takeoff weight and IO470V engines, 245 built. 310L, 310K with single-piece windshield, redesigned landing gear, increased fuel capacity and minor changes, 207 built. 310M, revised designation for the 310E. 310N, 310L with revised instrument panel, optional fuel tanks in engine nacelles, IO470VO engines and minor changes, 198 built. 310P, 310N with a shorter nozzle gear leg, ventral fin, and optional turbocharged Continental TSIO520B engines, 240 built. 310Q, 310P with takeoff weight increased to 5,300 pounds and detail changes, from the 401st aircraft fitted with a bulged rear cabin roof with rear view window, 1160 built. 310R, 310Q with three-bladed propellers, lengthened nose with baggage compartment, 5,500 pounds takeoff weight and 285 horsepower IO520M engines, 1332 built. 310S, original designation for the Cessna 320. 320 Skyknight, enlarged version of the 310F with 6 seats, larger cabin and 2 turbocharged engines, 110 built. 320A Skyknight, 320 with stable-tip fuel tanks and minor changes, 47 built. 320B Skyknight, 320A with nacelle baggage lockers and minor changes, 62 built. 320C Skyknight, 320B with a longer cabin, optional 7th seat and minor changes, 73 built. 320D Executive Skyknight, 320C with reshaped rear windows and 285 horsepower TSIO520B engines, 130 built. 320E Executive Skyknight, 320D with pointed nose, single-piece windshield, modified landing gear, increased takeoff weight and minor changes, 110 built. 320F Executive Skyknight, 320E with minor changes, 45 built. L-27A, United States military designation for the 310A, later changed to U-3A, L-27B, United States military designation for the 310E/310M, later changed to U-3B. U-3A, L-27A redesignated in 1963. U-3B, L-27B redesignated in 1963. Riley 65. Cessna 310 to 310G by fitting two 240 to 260 horsepower Continental 0470D/-470M engines. Riley Super 310, conversion of Cessna 310/320 by fitting two 310 horsepower Continental TSIO 520J/N engines. Riley de Bostream, conversion of Cessna 310 by fitting two 350 horsepower Lycoming engines. Riley Rocket, conversion of Cessna 310 by fitting two 290 horsepower Lycoming IO 540A1A5 engines and more fuel. Operators. Civil. The aircraft is popular with their charter companies and small feeder airlines, and is operated by private individuals and companies. Military operators. Countries known to have operated the U-3-310s include Argentina, Cessna 310 and 320 models, Bolivia, Republic of the Congo, France, French Air Force, 12 operated, Haiti, Armed Forces of Haiti, Indonesia, Indonesian Air Force, Indonesian Army Aviation, Iran, Madagascar, Air Force of Madagascar, 1310R, Mexico, Mexican Naval Aviation, Peru, Peruvian Navy, Philippines, Philippine Air Force, Saudi Arabia, Tanzania, Tanzanian Air Force, United States Air Force received 196 L-27A and L-27B. United States Army received 25 ex-U.S. Air Force L-27As and at least 13 L-27Bs from 1960. Uruguayan Air Force, Venezuela, Venezuelan Navy, Zaire Air Force. Accidents and incidents. On October 28, 1959, a Cessna 310 carrying Cuban revolutionary Camilo Cienfuegos disappeared over the Atlantic Ocean on a night flight from Camagüey to Havana. Neither the aircraft nor the body of Cienfuegos were ever found. On November 26, 1962, a VASP Saab Scandia 90A1 registration PPSRA en route from Sao Paulo Congonhas to Rio de Janeiro Santos Dumont collided in the air over the municipality of Paraibuna, state of Sao Paulo with a private Cessna 310 registration PTBRQ en route from Rio de Janeiro Santos Dumont to Sao Paulo Campo de Marte. Both were flying on the same airway in opposite directions and failed to have visual contact. The two aircraft crashed, killing all 23 passengers and crew of the Saab and the 4 occupants of the Cessna. On July 19, 1967, a Boeing 727 operating as Piedmont Airlines Flight 22 collided with a Cessna 310 at Hendersonville, North Carolina, USA, killing all 79 people on board the Boeing 727 and the 3 people in the Cessna. On October 16, 1972, U.S. Congressman Nick Bajaj of Alaska, and Hale Boggs of Louisiana, disappeared over Alaska while flying in a Cessna 310 during a campaign trip. On December 19, 1992, Cuban defector Major Orestes Lorenzo Parr copyright res returned to Cuba in a 1961 Cessna 310 to retrieve his wife Vicky and his 2 sons. Flying without lights, at low speed and very low altitude to avoid Cuban radar, Parr copyright res picked up his family by landing on the coastal highway of Varadero Beach, Matanzas Province, 93 miles east of Havana and managed a successful safe return to Marathon, Florida. As of December 2013, the NTSB has recorded 1924 incidents for Cessna 310s since January 12, 1964. Only 436 of those incidents were fatal. Specifications, data from 1956 Observer's Book of Aircraft, General Characteristics, Crew, 1, Capacity, 4 passengers, Length, 27 feet 0 inches, Wingspan, 35 feet 0 in, Height, 10 feet 6 in, Empty weight, 2,850 pounds, Gross weight, 4,600 pounds, Power plant, TUA, Continental 0470B horizontally opposed piston engines, 240 horsepower each, Performance, maximum speed, 220 miles per hour, cruise speed, 205 miles per hour, range, 1,000 miles. Service ceiling, 20,000 feet, rate of climb, 1,700 feet per minute. Notable appearances in media. See also, aircraft of comparable role, Configuration and era, Beagle B-206, Beechcraft Baron, Letal 200 Morava, Piper PA-23, Piper PA-34 Seneca. References. FAA Type Certificate Data Sheet Number 3A10, Andrade, John. July 10, 1982. London, Aviation Press Limited, 1982. ISBN 0-907898-01-7, Harding, Stephen. U.S. Army Aircraft since 1947. Shrewsbury, UK, Airlife Publishing, 1990. ISBN 1-85310-102-8. Taylor, John W. Janes All the World's Aircraft 1966 Euro 67. London, Sampson Low, Marston & Company, 1966. Taylor, John W. Janes All the World's Aircraft 1982 Euro 83. London, Janes Yearbooks, 1982. ISBN 0-7106-0748-2. External links, U3 description at globalsecurity.org.